It was one of the coldest mornings the forest had ever seen. Every step Tom took crunched loudly against the frozen snow, while Jerry hopped and scurried beside him, leaving tiny footprints in the powdery ground. The cold wind cut sharply through the forest, making Tom's whiskers tingle and Jerry's little paws ache, but neither of them slowed. They were searching for a safe, warm place when Jerry suddenly froze mid-step. His ears twitched. "Tom, do you hear that?" Tom stopped immediately, eyes narrowing. At first, all he could hear was the whistling wind, the soft rustle of frost-laden branches, and the distant call of a crow. But then, there it was. A weak, desperate chirp, so small and faint it almost sounded like the wind itself. Jerry's eyes widened, and he bolted a few steps ahead. "Tom, someone's out there. I think it's a baby." Tom followed, running carefully but swiftly, his long legs sinking slightly into the snow with every step. The wind whipped at his fur, but he didn't care. He could sense urgency in every sound. Together, they moved through the silent, icy forest, following the fragile cry for help. There, half buried in a mound of snow, lay a tiny, shivering duckling. Her yellow feathers were frozen stiff, wings tucked tightly against her small body, and her beak barely moved. Her wide, frightened eyes were half closed. She looked so fragile, so cold, and so alone that Jerry's heart nearly broke. "Oh no, Tom, she's freezing," Jerry gasped. Tom knelt down carefully, speaking softly. "Don't worry, little one, we'll save you." He scooped the duckling into his warm paws, pressing her close to his chest. The tiny body was colder than ice, trembling uncontrollably. Jerry pulled a small cloth from his pocket and wrapped it around her gently, giving her a little extra warmth. The wind grew stronger, snowflakes whipping at their faces like tiny needles. Tom held the duckling tightly, shielding her from the icy air, while Jerry climbed onto Tom's shoulder, curling around her to protect her even more. Every step was a struggle. The snow was deep, the cold piercing, but neither of them stopped. They knew time was slipping away. "She's getting weaker. Tom, hurry," Jerry shouted, almost in tears. Tom's heart pounded, legs aching, but he ran faster. Slipping, sliding, sometimes almost falling, he never let go of the duckling. Every bump, every gust of wind reminded him how fragile life could be, but also how strong he could be when it mattered most. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached their small wooden cabin. Tom kicked the door open and rushed inside, duckling still in his hands. Jerry scrambled beside him, lighting the fireplace as fast as he could. Warmth began to fill the small room, soft and golden, chasing away the biting cold. Tom placed the duckling near the hearth, holding her close so she could feel his warmth. Jerry wrapped her carefully in a small blanket and rubbed her tiny wings gently. Minutes passed, the duckling remained still. Tom's paws shook, Jerry's eyes filled with tears, and both whispered softly, trying to encourage the little one. "Please, stay with us," Jerry whispered. "Come on, don't give up now," Tom added, stroking her head gently. Then, a tiny, miraculous movement. The duckling twitched. A soft, broken chirp escaped her beak. Tom and Jerry froze, holding their breath. She's alive," Jerry exclaimed, his voice trembling with relief. The duckling's eyes slowly opened, blinking against the firelight. She looked first at Tom, then at Jerry, as if recognizing the warmth, the safety, and the love they had risked everything to bring her. Another soft chirp escaped her, this time stronger, more confident. Tom smiled softly, a warmth spreading in his chest that had nothing to do with the fire. Jerry scooped her up carefully, wrapping her against his tiny body. The duckling snuggled into them both, trusting them completely, finally safe after the freezing nightmare she had endured. That night, as the wind continued to howl outside, the duckling rested between Tom and Jerry. The warmth of the fire, the comfort of friendship, and the gentle security of their embrace slowly restored her tiny body. She chirped softly, every sound a little stronger than before, a song of life, gratitude, and trust. From that day forward, the duckling never left their side. She waddled after Tom, hopped onto Jerry's head when she could, and chirped happily whenever she felt safe and loved. Tom taught her how to stay warm and balance in the snow, while Jerry showed her how to find food, play, and even hide from danger. The forest soon whispered of the heroic rescue. Animals of every kind spoke of the grey-blue cat and the tiny brown mouse who had saved a life on the coldest day of the year. Not because they were the strongest, not because they were the fastest, but because they had hearts big enough to refuse to give up on someone small, weak, and scared. The duckling learned a truth far greater than herself. Family isn't always about who you're born with. Family is about who refuses to let you go when the world turns cold. And on that snowy day, in the heart of the frozen forest, she had found her family in Tom and Jerry. Even as she grew, she never forgot that first night, the fear, the cold, and the small glimmer of hope that had brought her back to life. She never forgot the courage of a cat and a mouse who risked everything, who never gave up, who proved that love, warmth, and friendship could melt even the deepest frost. And somewhere in the forest, as snow continued to fall silently, it seemed to whisper their story. Real heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they have fur, sometimes tiny paws, and sometimes they are simply the ones who care enough to fight through the cold, fight through fear, and save a little heart that no one else could.